Turn yours on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Will County Planning and Zoning Board Commission regular meeting for November 18th, or pardon me, for December 16th. Wow, really batting out. I'm calling the meeting to order and ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roger, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Petschall, Battenhausen,
Here.
Aaron Warwick, Louis Navarette.
There's only four of us here tonight. Of the 7 commissioners that are supposed to be here, there's only 6 currently commissions that are serving. We're minus 1 commissioner anyway. So anyone who does not want to have their case heard tonight, because it takes all 4 votes to pass. Anybody who does not want to have their case tonight, come up to the front and talk to the ladies and they will reschedule you for a different date. Otherwise, if you want to come forward with your case, we will go ahead and proceed as normal. I'm going to ask everybody to swear everybody in. Anybody who's speaking tonight, please raise your right hand. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I do. I didn't hear all the I do's, but I hope you said it.
It's implied.
Okay. And anyone who has a cell phone, please turn it down, put it in airplane mode, or turn it off. Thank you.
I think Ms. Kinney has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a recommendation with the first 2 cases, since they were postponed to this meeting due to not having quorum a couple meetings ago. If we can just postpone them to see if we actually get a commissioner, so we do get quorum tonight.
I was going to ask to alter the agenda and have the cases later, just in case Ms. Mitchell walks in late.
Yes, so that's my recommendation. And then at the end, if we still are short, we can postpone them at that
Okay,
point.
so we're going to start with case number 3 tonight.
Sounds good.
All right.
Don't even need a motion. Just do it.
Before we do that, I'd like everybody, I presume, has read the minutes. I'd like you, somebody to make a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign? Okay. The minutes are out of the way.
Do you need a motion to amend the agenda?
No, I don't think so. Not just to move cases around.
I guess I'll clarify just in case anybody's confused, since I have a business interest with the first 2 cases, I have to abstain, which would mean there's only 3 commissioners, so there's no way the case would pass. Plus, it also means, I believe legally, there is no longer a quorum for them cases to be heard. So hopefully, another commissioner is on the way and they can be heard and not delayed again. I'm sorry.
Our first case tonight will be ZC-25-116 and V-25-159. It takes place in New Lenox Township. And Marguerite Kendi will be our presenter.
Good evening. So zoning case ZC 25116 takes place in New Lenox Township. The address is 1237 Green Street, and the applicant is Cameron Semeni. I do apologize for mispronouncing it, Semenius. The applicant is seeking to construct a detached garage for personal storage and a hobby workshop. And as the size of the proposed structure exceeds what is permitted in the zoning district, the applicant is requesting a variance to account for all the additional accessory building area on the property. So I have the aerial on the screen. Right now, the property you can see is improved with a single-family residence and attached garage. It is on the western side of Green Street, midway between West Francis Road and Sycamore Street. And the Village of New Lenox is located on the northern side of West Francis Road. The property is about 32,584 square feet and has 109 feet of frontage. The property lies within the New Lenox Facility Planning Area and the Hickory Creek watershed. There are no floodplains or wetlands on the property. And this area is typically residential. Francis Road sees the heaviest amount of traffic in this area. And with the aerial, you can see there, like I mentioned, there's a single family residence. The attached garage measures 484 square feet. The round gazebo in the southwest corner of the property measures 113 square feet. And then the garden shed, which is on the northern property line, is 123 square feet. The garden shed will be relocated on the property to allow for the detached garage to be added. So you can see the zoning on the screen. The property is zoned R3. R3 is also to the north, south, and west of the property. And directly across the street on the eastern side of Green Street is R2. R2 is just a slightly bigger residential zoning district. So the site plan is shown on the screen. The applicant has submitted a building permit to construct a 40 by 60 foot pole building with a 12-foot lean-to, and that's outlined in blue on the screen. The proposed pole barn would be 3,328 square feet in total, and that includes the lean-to area. The R3 district limits accessory building area to 1,500 square feet. So with the proposed pole barn, as well as the attached garage, the shed, and the gazebo all outlined in yellow, the total accessory building area would be 4,049 square feet. So just the next couple slides will show some photos of the subject property. This is looking northwest. This is looking west towards the rear of the property. You can see the shed that will be relocated, and then behind the shed is where the proposed detached garage would be. Looking southwest at the neighboring property. Looking north along Green Street. Looking northeast across Green Street. Looking south. So the criteria by which variances are evaluated upon are on the screen. An in-depth analysis is provided in the staff report, but based on the first criterion points, staff finds that the plight of the owner is not due to unique circumstances. The owner intends to construct a large pole building on site for personal storage, and it exceeds the permitted accessory building area limit for the R3 district. The property already has an attached garage, a shed, and gazebo that could account for accessory building area. Staff finds that if the variance is granted, it would likely not alter the essential character of the area. There's other properties within this neighborhood that have large pole buildings or exceed the permitted accessory building area. And on the eastern side of Green Street, the R2 district allows for up to 1,800 square feet by right. So there is a discrepancy between 1,500 and 1,800 already. The neighboring property to the west, which is 1238 Gordon Street, shows about 3,776 square feet of accessory building area on the property based on GIS measurements. So what they are requesting is within what's existing in the neighborhood. Based on the criterion point number 2, the request is based upon a convenience request rather than a physical condition of the property. Staff finds this is a common request, and this commission has heard many accessory building area variances over the last year. Staff finds that the purpose of the variance is to allow the applicant to use a structure for personal enjoyment of the property. Staff finds that the hardship is created by the applicant, and in our professional opinion, that the granting of the variance would not be detrimental to the public welfare or unduly injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood. The pole barn is going to be used for personal storage. It is not going to be for a business. And it would be also keeping some of the items that you see in aerials that are kept outdoors inside, thereby keeping the property in a more upkept appearance. Staff also finds that the proposed variance would not impair adequate supply of air to adjacent properties or substantially increase the danger of fire. Again, the building would be required to meet the county's building code requirements as well as all the setbacks for the R3 district. Whoops. So staff is recommending denial of the variance. Of the agencies notified, no one objected. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
You say that there are quite a few other buildings that exceed the,
There's a couple to feel comfortable where
okay,
if you were to recommend approval, it wouldn't, completely
be stand
offset
out.
the
Yeah.
character of the area. The gazebo is kind of the oddity where it is a covered structure, but we do count it as accessory building area, but it's really not going to be used for like personal storage. It's more outdoor seating, just with a roof.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Are there any objectors or concerned citizens to this case here tonight? There are no objectors or concerned citizens, okay. Is the owner, Mr. Simenas, is he here tonight? Okay. There's no objectors or concerned citizens. Would you care to come up and make a statement, or would you, you're welcome to come up to the podium, please, sir. Semianus, is that how it?
It's Semanis.
Semianus, okay.
Yeah, close.
All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I'm Cameron Semanis. I've been a proud long-term resident of Will County for most of my life. I grew up in Frankfort and purchased my first home, which is where I currently live in New Lenox in 2016. I'm here to respectfully ask for your approval of the variance for max accessory structure from 1,500 square foot to 4,049 to construct a pole barn for personal storage and a workshop at my residence. The barn is not intended for any commercial business use. It will be located at the rear of my property with proper setbacks and will be fully compliant with applicable fire, building, and safety codes. The impact of the structure will not increase any traffic to the area. It will not increase any noise and will not affect drainage or runoff. It is a simple, well-planned accessory structure meant to store personal equipment and materials that are currently exposed or stored inefficiently. I've also made a strong effort to engage my neighbors directly regarding this project. I've obtained a signed petition from all 6 adjacent neighbors, all of whom are in support of this project with no objections. They understand the purpose of the barn, its location, and its appearance, and they do believe, as I do, that it will improve the overall appearance and value of surrounding properties and not detract from them. This request represents reasonable and appropriate use of my property, consistent with how similar properties are used throughout my neighborhood. I've invested in this home for nearly a decade, and this barn is part of my long-term plan to responsibly maintain and improve my property. The large outbuildings throughout my neighborhood are the main reason I purchased my home here, with plans to one day build my dream barn. Finally, after years of saving and careful planning, I'm ready to turn this dream into a reality. However, I won't be able to achieve this goal at my home without the board's approval of this project. I respect the county's processes and regulations, and I'm fully willing to work with the board if minor adjustments are needed to the plans. This barn is a small but meaningful step that allows us to responsibly improve and maintain our long-term home and reflects our commitment at being good neighbors and supportive members of the Will County community. I am respectfully asking the board to consider all evidence provided and grant approval for this project. I also have here several copies of the signed petition from all my abutting neighbors. If you guys would like to take a look at that. Okay.
One copy will have to be given to staff.
Thank you for your opportunity to hear my case today.
all your neighbors a Christmas gift. Because not long ago, we turned down a case in the same subdivision about the same magnitude as yours. Because if the neighbors don't like something that big going in, I
Yeah,
would be inclined to vote against you, especially given staff's recommendation for denial, but I think you're in better shape since you don't have any neighbors complaining here.
okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
testimony. And we're going to go ahead and take a vote.
Mr. Chairman, ZC 25-116, variance 25-159. Approval of variance for maximum accessory building area from 1,500 square feet to 4,049 square feet.
I have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Louis Navarette.
Yeah.
And Chairman Houston.
Yes. All right, you've passed us. Our next case tonight, get this right, will be ZC 25-121/S 25 048. And Marguerite Kenny will also be presenting this case.
I do not see the applicant here yet, so I would recommend moving to item number 5.
Everything crowd.
Could be an interesting night. Okay. Item number 5. ZC 25-113/S 25 045. V 25-153. V 25-154. V 25-155. And V 25-156. And finally, V 25-157. This is all in Joliet. And Jesus Presento is not here tonight, so.
Not here, nor did.
Really? For this one as well?
I know.
If they did show up in the next 5 minutes, they would probably hand you the check and we could hear it, so. But we don't have any other cases to skip to except the Vext, huh?
If they did show up, we could always rescind the, right.
Mr. Chairman, ZC 25-113 and all the assorted special uses and variances, I make a motion to table.
This table to the 20th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Have a roll call, please.
Roll call, John Keithner,
Yes.
Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Louis Navarette.
Yeah.
And Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Yes. What is your pick?
What have we got?
We're overachievers tonight. Well,
My last name is 5.
So what have we done?
well, we've done nothing.
I missed what's going on.
No, but I was never served like. Yeah, you don't.
Yes, I'm your dad's neighbor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Minor spot?
We have a shortage
You
of,
guys look pretty serious though.
well,
Okay.
you're not an applicant.
That's
You're so visible.
Well, we have 3 cases with no applicant, so we're dying to get the applicants here because we're being nice and not hearing the cases. without them.
On Cedar Road.
That's exactly.
Good thing I didn't shave for this meeting.
So we are talking about 113, sorry to interrupt you, and that I have tabled to January 20th with a vote of 4-0.
Okay. Seems odd to table to 2026 already.
Yeah. I would recommend, since we're waiting for applicants potentially to think that they're coming for a 6:30 meeting, we can proceed with the 2 variance extensions to see if the applicants are showing up closer to 6. And we can present the 2 variance extensions at this time. And then revisit the other cases that we're waiting for a commissioner or the applicant to attend.
Various extensions are,
How did I use them now? I just saw them.
I don't have,
Solar farms, they're waiting.
I could do a brief presentation if we want to move to the other business with the 2 variance extensions.
I don't see the various extensions right now. I'm sorry, I'm looking
I
for
don't have
them.
the paperwork either. Was it not in our pack?
No? I didn't see any
If it was
various.
just me, I would say it was my sloppiness.
Emails, those were emailed, but they're so large.
Oh, those were the ones.
Memo.
Right, because you were gonna send the whole original document. That's what it
Oh,
was.
yeah, okay, we got that.
That's right.
All right. So we're talking about VEXT 25 008. And variance extensions ZC 24 104 and V 24 274. A variance for minimum street setback at Harvard Street from 100 feet to 30 feet. And V 24 275, variance for minimum rear setback from 20 feet to 10 feet. And V 24 298, variance for minimum street setback, State Street from 100 feet to 30 feet in Lockport Township. So. That's the second one. Do you want me to start with the first one or second one? Or?
I can cover 008 since you read it, and then we can proceed with 007
Okay.
following this if you would like. So this variance extension, as you mentioned, VEXT 25008. Back in January of this year, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved these variances with a 7-0 vote. The applicant has applied for the building permit and intends to construct a 3,000 square foot commercial building on the property, but the permit is still under review. And since it was January 7th, they're looking, it probably will not be issued before January 7th of 2026, and variances expire within a year if a permit is not issued. They are requesting this first extension for all 3 variances to allow the permitting process to continue. And the zoning ordinance is allowed, or this commission is allowed to grant an extension for good cause up to 2 separate occasions for up to 180 days each. So if this being the first extension, if this extension were to be approved, all 3 variances would be extended until July 6th of 2026. And staff is recommending approval of the extensions. And you would need to vote independently, so 3 times, 1 for each variance.
Any questions from anyone? Thank you very much. You want to remain there until we get the next one, because this will be quick. We have a roll call on VEXT 25 008 on the various extensions. The first extension being ZC 24 104.
Mr. Chairman, for that variance 24-274, motion of approval for variance extension for the minimum street setback Harvard Street from 100 feet to 30 feet.
Second.
I have a motion, second. May I have a roll call, please?
John Keeper,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Yes.
and Houston.
Yes.
For the second variance, 24-275, approval of variance extension for minimum rear setback from 20 feet to 10 feet.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Yes.
and Chairman Houston.
Yes.
And the third variance, 24-298, approval of variance extension for minimum street setback, State Street, from 100 feet to 30 feet, Lockport Township, PIN 1104-34-404-022-0000, vacant State Street.
Second.
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Navarette,
Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes. Thank you very much, Marguerite, for staying, and would you please,
They can request a second one if they need.
Do up to two, okay.
Yeah.
Hope we don't have to do that.
next case is VEXT 25-007. And for first extension for ZC-24-090.
So this variance extension is related to a solar facility proposed at 6952 West Bruns Road in Moni. The variances were approved December 17th, 2024 by this commission. You voted 7-0 to approve both variances for the ground cover plant height and the number of mowings. The applicant has applied for the building permit associated with the construction of the solar energy facility. While the special use has 2 years to establish, the applicant only has 1 year to establish the variances, basically putting in the ground cover plantings. And the applicant is waiting for favorable planting conditions, which would not incur until spring of next year. As variances would be expiring tomorrow, actually. They are requesting their first extension. If approved, their variances would be extended until June 15th of 2026. So that would give them a little bit of time to establish the native ground cover, which would be needed for the permits and establishing their variances. Staff is recommending approval for the first extension for both variances. And like the last time, you're voting for each variance extension.
We have a motion, please, from,
Mr. Chairman, in regards to various extension 25007, variance V-25-288, move for the approval of variance of maximum ground cover plant height from 13 inches to 36 inches, PIN number 21-14-19-300-002-0000.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Louis, give me a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Same various extension number 25-007, variance number 25-289. Move for the approval of variance for the number of required mowings from 5 times to 1 time for PIN number 21-14-19-300-002-0000.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen.
Yes.
Navarette,
Yes.
and Houston.
Yes. I am sorry, but we're going to have to go ahead and proceed with the first 3 cases. We don't seem to have picked up any more people, and we haven't got our other commissioner. So what I said earlier still stands. If you care to have this extended, I'm sorry that we have no quorum tonight, but if you care to have this extended, please come forward. Our first case that we'll be hearing will be ZC 25 121 S 25 048. And
Well, these are the first two that we just decided to hear later in the hopes that Kim Mitchell would show up. Right?
yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Wasn't really looking at.
For 121.
We have three cases here.
Case 119 and 137, just like the previous meeting, I have to abstain from. So would I be able to, somebody's got to make a motion to just hear them next meeting, right?
Can't hear a case without a quorum.
Do you need a motion to move it to the next meeting or? Yep. And I won't make it then since I'm actually, well, I'll make it.
You could make the motion for that.
Mr. Chairman, case 25-3380 ZC, that's not another. ZC 25-086 in Creek Township. Motion to move to the meeting of January 20th. That's the date you said, right?
Second.
I have a motion second to table to January 20th.
John,
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen.
Yes.
Louis Manderett,
Yes.
and Chairman Houston.
Yes,
I'm sorry I have a successful business and you decide to buy from it. But yeah, I can't hear the case because it would be a conflict of interest.
okay, next case. Jen, do you want to go to the next case?
Mr. Chairman, ZC 25-099 on the Schoolhouse Road. Motion to table it until January 20th, 25.
Second.
I mean, 26.
26.
Oh, shoot. That won't be the first time I make that mistake.
Second.
I see somebody coming. I don't know.
I think that's for the other case.
Okay,
hopefully. She's ready to give roll call vote.
that's what I'm gonna ask for, roll call vote.
Was that at 99?
Yes, this is for 099, correct.
John Keithner,
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen,
Yes. Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes,
That was for January 20.
113. Okay, good.
Or 099.
Good.
To January. So Commissioner, case 113 is here. 25, ZC 25-113 with many variances. We did table it to January 20th. And if you could please.
yes, it's here. We'll rescind it, may have a motion to
Mr. Chairman,
rescind the table.
motion to untable ZC 25-113 and report associated special uses and variances.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to remove the table and hear the case tonight. So may I have a roll call?
John Keithner.
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen.
Yes. Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes. All right, so,
Good old Ridgewood.
yeah, are you up? Are you doing the cases at Jesus? Okay.
Like what you're doing with your hair, Jesus.
Okay. So this is ZC 25-113. The owner is George Ruse and the agent is Ernesto Lagunas. The applicant has applied for a special use permit for an accessory dwelling unit and variances to allow a second floor dwelling unit and bring the parcel into compliance. Here Here, the property is shown outlined in red. The subject property is zoned R1 with frontage along Elgin and Scribner Street. The parcel is deficient for the R5 minimum lot area requirement. The parcel includes Lot 1 and part of Lot 2 of Cagwin subdivision. The parcel cannot be deemed as legal nonconforming. The applicant is requesting variances to bring the parcel into compliance. Here's an aerial view of the property with the property outlined in red. In 2021, the property owner submitted a fire damage repair permit to remodel and repair the existing two-story residence on the parcel. As the permit was reviewed, staff found that the residence contained 4 dwelling units. The applicant was unable to prove that the multifamily use was ever legally established. The property was placed in violation in 2022 for starting work on the house without receiving a building permit. On April 14, 2022, the property owner attended a meeting with staff to go over options to move forward. There was several options presented at the meeting. One of them was to request the termination of nonconformity, and the other was to only keep 2 units. 1 unit is the first floor and 1 unit as the second floor. They decided to go through with the second option and only have 2 units on site. The principal dwelling unit, so the first floor is approximately 1,000 square feet, limiting the ADU size to about 109 square feet. The proposed second floor ADU does exceed this 500 square feet. And then reviewing of the survey revealed that setback encroachments by the house and detached garage. And the applicant is requesting variances for these encroachments and exceeding the accessory dwelling unit area. Here is the plat of survey of the property, showing the existing residence location. Here's the first floor plan. This is the principal dwelling unit. And this is the second floor plan, so this is the one that will be considered the accessory dwelling unit. This is the view looking at the subject property from Elgin Avenue. This is looking at it from Scribner Street. This is looking at the eastern adjacent property across Scribner Street. This is looking at the western adjacent property. This is looking at the detached garage. And this is looking north down Scribner Street. A full copy of the staff analysis for the special use criteria can be found in the staff report. But for a summary, staff finds that the special use permit will not be detrimental or endanger the public's health or safety. The property owner is requesting the special use permit to allow the remodel of the home with the second floor dwelling unit, and no expansion of the existing residence is proposed. Before the permit can be issued, the dwelling unit will be required to comply with all code requirements. This staff's opinion that the proposed special use will not be injurious to the neighborhood. 3 properties within the general area have received approval to allow more than 1 dwelling unit on the property. Staff finds the special use will not impede the normal orderly development of the area. The parcel is located within a residential subdivision, and the proposed use is also compatible with the residential use in the area. Staff finds that adequate utilities, access road, and necessary facilities are being provided as the property is already improved with the residents or the existing residential building. Okay, to go over section 1 for the variance review criteria, staff finds that some conditions are unique as the existing structures predate the current owner and were in place before the property was purchased. However, staff finds no unique circumstance to justify a variance for maximum accessory dwelling unit size. Exceeding the size limits is a personal preference and not qualifying as a hardship. Staff also finds that the requested variance will not alter the character of the area as the home and garage have existed since 1956. Similar setback encroachments exist in the R5 district. And the ADU will be located within the existing structure and no exterior expansion or visible change will be included. For section 2, for 2A, staff finds that the physical conditions of the property do result in a hardship. Both structures have been on the property since 1956. Now the current property owner is looking to bring the property into compliance. For the variance for ADU size, staff finds that there is no physical condition that would allow that would require the applicant to exceed the permitted square foot of the ADU area. For 2B, staff finds that the variance request would be applicable to other properties. Based on GIS aerials, there are several other properties in this subdivision that are deficient in lot area and have structures encroaching on setbacks. Then finally, staff finds that the variances will not endanger the public safety. A building permit and all necessary inspections will be required. So of agency comments, the Village of New Lenox just stated that this lies within the City of Joliet's boundary agreement, and they transfer authority to them, and staff did not receive any comments from the City of Joliet of anything, yes. So staff is recommending approval of the special use permit with 2 conditions, and then approval of the variance for lot area, side yard setback, and then the 2 street yard setbacks, and then denial of the maximum accessory building or accessory dwelling unit. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also here if you have any questions for them.
I have no questions. Have anyone question?
I guess I just asked the obvious then. So if we don't give them the ADU of 1,000, and judging by the floor plans I have and you showed, they basically are splitting each unit on each floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't give that to them. That would mean they'd have to break off 1 or 2 rooms upstairs. And the first floor would have to access, they would need a second set of stairs then, really. I
Yeah.
mean, it'd just be so cumbersome.
Yeah.
It leads me to believe that the only logical explanation. So, but the main reason you have to give the denial is because you can't in-house approve anything over than the 600 feet, correct?
Correct, yes. And I believe also, because they are establishing a new accessory dwelling unit, they could have created it to meet standards. So, yeah.
Yeah. Each floor is just.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say real chicken cack, and I can because Kim's down here to chastise me for using that phrase. Okay, yep.
Is there any other questions? Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Are there concerned citizens or objectors to this case here tonight? There are not. May I hear from the applicant? Is the applicant or the attorney here? You're the applicant? Would you care to come up and make a comment, or do you want to just have us take a vote? No comments, okay.
You're a little overwhelmed by the whole process, correct? Was somebody supposed to be here to help you with this? Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Mr. Kavanaugh's not here for this case though, correct?
No, of course not.
Mr. Chairman, for ZC 25-113, S25-045, approval of special use permit for an attached accessory dwelling unit.
And 2 conditions.
Yes, thank you, with the 2 conditions as noted by staff in the report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call?
John Keithner,
Yes.
Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Ms. Navarette,
Yes.
and Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, same case 113, variance 25-153. Approve of variance for lot area from 10,000 square feet to 6,564 square feet.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Dr. Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Ms. Navarette.
Yes.
And Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, case 113, variance 25-154. Approve of variance for side yard setback south side from 5 feet to 0.06 feet.
Second.
But roll call, please.
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Yes.
and Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Item number 4 for 113, variance 25-155, approval of variance for street yard setback Elgin Avenue from 30 feet to 21 feet.
Second.
Don Keeper,
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Yes.
and Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Variance 156 for the same case, approval of variance for street yard setback Scribner Street from 30 feet to 14 feet.
Second.
Don Keeper,
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes.
And the last variance, 157, approve of variance for maximum size of an accessory dwelling unit from 509 square feet to 1,038 square feet.
Second.
Don Keeper,
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Navarette,
Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Jorge Riaz can get back to construction. None of these could go past us, right?
Everything's okay.
Oh, the special use. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
So you know they go to.
I'm still kind of overwhelmed by that 0.06 feet. They were using a really good tape measure there.
Now,
0.06, we're talking less than an inch. Oh. Talking less than an inch.
we're at case number ZC-25-121/S-25-048. And Marguerite Kenny will be our presenter.
Give me one sec while I pull it up. Okay, so the last case for tonight, despite the little juggling we did, is ZC 25121. It is a special use for a landscape business. It takes place in Homer Township. The subject property is 17958 South Cedar Road in Homer Glen. And the owner is Cedar Roads Associates LLC, care of Douglas Carlson LLC, where Douglas Carlson is general partner. You have Charles Greg Carlson is 25% interest, Paul J. Carlson is 25% interest, and Lana Beth Arnold is 25% interest. The agent is Luke Lobos of VHJ LLC, and the attorney is Richard Kavanaugh of KGG LLC. The agent is looking to relocate their existing landscape business to the site. They are in process of purchasing the property, and the current business operates at 17525 South Parker Road. So I have an aerial on the screen. The subject property is 17.33 acres. It lies on the south side of Cedar Road where it S-curves, so to speak, between Bruce Road splits off. It creates that 1 acre triangular piece in the northeast corner. The remaining parcel is about 16 acres, and that is pretty much the developable area that the applicant is looking to improve with the landscape business. This property is a conforming A1 property despite the odd configuration. It is within the Hickory Creek watershed, but there is no flood zones or inventoried wetlands on the property, and the land does slope southeast with the central drainage swale and is currently farmed. So you can see the drainage swale that kind of runs through the center of the property. IDOT shows that their average annual daily traffic for South Cedar Road sees about 7,500 trips per day. Bruce Road sees about 3,800 trips per day. And then west of Cedar and 1,300 trips east of Cedar. So definitely a lot of traffic on Cedar Road in this area. The county's long-range transportation plan just recently had an update, and the new title is Our Way Forward 2050. It identifies fiscally constrained reconstruction projects for Cedar Road in this area. And you can see the site currently lacks ingress and egress onto Cedar Road. Will County DOT would require an access permit to grant that. And the applicant is currently working with DOT regarding getting those permits and right-of-way dedications that the county DOT will be requiring. Some conversation is also potentially dedicating that triangular piece to the Highway Commission or Department of Transportation as well. So just a zoom in of that subject property. The village of Homer Glen borders the south or the site to the north. So that's the very light green. If you can pick that up on the monitors. It's also agriculturally zoned. The parcel itself that's outlined in blue actually falls within the village of New Lenox side of the boundary agreement between Homer Glen and New Lenox. New Lenox, however, is about 1/3 of a mile south of this property. And New Lenox has reviewed this request. And that memo that you all should have received contains the comments of their request. They do not have any objections, provided that their conditions be accommodated by the county. The property lies in New Lenox's facility planning area. And we also have the city of Joliet to the north, or Joliet's facility planning area, and Illinois American. So we have a couple different sewer and water services in the area. You also can see by the zoning that we have a couple forest preserve properties. So the property is surrounded by Hadley Valley Preserve. And then just to the northeast, we have Messenger Woods. So this area is pretty rural, agricultural, still in terms of the use and feel of the area. So on the screen, this is the Plata survey for the property. The conceptual site plan for a landscape business in A1, it does require a special use permit. The applicant is requesting it to run with the land, so the next owner could potentially continue the landscape operations. The operations would occur on the 16-acre portion. That triangular portion would be left alone, most likely being dedicated to the DOT. The concept plan shows a 1,600 square foot storage building, a 2,500 square foot office that's attached to the building. So that's in the center. There are 4 625 square feet material bins. So typically our resource recovery and energy would like to see materials stored outside in 3-sided bins. That's what they're showing here. They're also showing 16 parking spaces, including an ADA compliant space, which would likely be in conformance with the county standards. And then they're also showing a proposed landscape berm along Cedar that is subject to DOT approval as well. I believe the state requires 10-foot setback from the right-of-way. And after Will County DOT gets additional right-of-way dedicated, that would be the additional 10 feet into the property, and then the berm would be permitted to start. And then the county zoning has an additional requirements for the berm in terms of the slope and having established landscaping on top. Access is proposed at the northwest corner, so again, far away from the S-curve. The proposed hours are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. 12 employees are estimated to be working from the site, and then 1 to 3 customers per day would be visiting the site. This will require site development and building permits for the structures and moving the dirt on the property. So compliance with the county codes, building, stormwater zoning would be required with this. So if approved, the applicant would have 2 years to obtain the necessary permits to establish this use on the property. The next couple slides are just showing the subject property, and this was right after our double duo of snowstorms. But this is looking west from that Bruce Road side of the triangular piece of the property. Again, Cedar Road's a little fast to pull over and try to take some photos on. So this is from a safe distance looking at the subject property. This is looking northwest from that same area. Looking north. Looking northeast, looking south, So the criteria by which special use permits are evaluated are shown on the screen, and in-depth analysis is provided in the staff report. But to allow staff to briefly summarize the criterion that we considered, it's staff's professional opinion that the establishment, maintenance, and operation would not be detrimental to or endanger the public's health, safety, morals, or general welfare. This use is considered low intensity. It's consistent with surrounding agricultural and open space character and would operate within the established county standards. Access would be reviewed by Will County DOT, and the permit being issued would ensure safe traffic movements. On-site operations are contained within the 16-acre portion. The proposed screening along Cedar that includes a berm would reduce visual and noise impacts. The business also maintains limited daily customer traffic and modest staffing levels, minimizing effects on adjacent properties. Staff finds the special use would not be injurious to use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. Similar landscape businesses and operations work well within rural and semi-rural areas and have not shown adverse effects on property values. The proposed improvements may enhance overall appearance and functionality of the site. The surrounding area is open space or agricultural, and similar uses would be permitted by right. So you could have animals, you can continue to farm those properties, or it can be forest preserve district property. Staff also finds that the establishment of special use would not likely impede normal and orderly development or improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the ag district. There's another landscape business under construction along Cedar just south at 17958, which is 815 Mulchet, and it's about a third of a mile south of this site. All necessary utilities and infrastructure would be required to be installed as part of the site development and permitting process for the building. And then access to the site again would require Will County DOT issuing that entrance permit to the site. And they have submitted several comments regarding what their standards would be. And they all ensure that traffic standards are met, that the appropriate site distance and separation from roadway curves and intersections are met. And then the proposed landscape business is designed to operate in full compliance with the A1 district standards. With that, in terms of agency comments, I just wanted to point out that a LISA score was conducted for the site, and it was calculated at 129, which is potential growth in incorporated areas. The NRI also stated that the most significant concerns were related to the field tiles, and that all field tiles found should be considered capable of carrying subsurface water and should be rerouted rather than plugged. The EcoCat identified protected resources in the area, mainly Messenger Woods and the related nature preserve in the INAI site, and then also the northern long-eared bat in the area. The department evaluated the information that they identified and concluded that adverse effects would be unlikely. Again, most of the trees will not be touched that run along the property lines. It's really the interior that they were looking to develop. The health department does not have any objections. Again, they would be working with the health department regarding the building to have the appropriate septic and well on the property. And then DOT's general comments, since it is a county highway being Cedar Road, they would issue the permit. They would require a traffic impact study or some type of similar study, and then a site distance study. Potential roadway improvements would be required, and then they are requiring right-of-way dedication approximately 60 feet from the center line along the entire property frontage, and then the triangular piece on that northeast corner. There would be right-of-way dedication on that parcel too. So they've had and are in contact with the applicant to figure out what the process forward through that whole permitting to get access to the site would be. A platted dedication for the right-of-way would be required, and then the Village of Homer Glen provided an email not objecting to it, but it also, just to notate, it falls on the New Lenox side of the boundary. So Homer Glen doesn't see an issue, but it's not really within their future planning boundary. In terms of future New Lenox comments, the staff report mentioned that New Lenox would be hearing this case on Monday, December 8th of this month, New Lenox Village Board heard this case, and as mentioned, they voted not to object to the request. They proposed 9 conditions be added to the special use request, of which staff encourages the commission, or at least to take a look at conditions 2, 3, 4, and 5, because they are more specific than what the county would require in a property. But if you were to add these conditions or variations thereof, you would have to make motions to add those conditions onto the special use before you take a vote. And with that said, staff is recommending approval. I do apologize. It should be reading a special use permit for a landscape business and not a halfway house with, it should be 2 conditions. So the first condition is just our typical site inspection, and then that it runs with the property. So if you were looking to add additional conditions, it would probably be condition number 3, 4, et cetera. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
The only question I have, and if I might have misunderstood you, but I thought you were talking about a 10-foot extension from the road to the berm all the way around the curve. And if that's the case, what's going to happen with the DOT entrance?
Yeah, so going back to the site plan, give me one sec. So what's going to happen is you have DOT that's going to require right-of-way dedication. So they're going to take property from the current Plata survey or what's shown on the site plan from the center line. From there, that's going to be your new property line for the street.
Oh,
The
they're taking
state-
it from the center line, they're not
Correct.
asking them to give them a lane.
No,
Okay,
there may be additional improvements depending on the traffic study, but given, there's 12, 13 employees working from the site, it may not generate any additional like dedicated turn lanes, things like that. But
okay.
again, this road sees a lot of traffic, and that S curve, the
Yes.
speed limit's about 50 miles an hour. So they may require like a dedicated turn lane that may require additional land to be given for that entrance or exit if it's like a right in, right out. But also the state requires a 10-foot setback from your street property line into your site to allow for additional, if right-of-way dedication is needed, or just wiggle room so that the berm is offset from the property line when it starts.
Okay,
So they would have like a 10-foot setback essentially from the start of the berm to their property line along Cedar.
okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
I just had,
Oh, go ahead.
Marguerite, did I understand you correctly to comply with the Lennox recommendations? You suggested maybe we amend the special use permit to include items 3 and 4 that New Lennox.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
sir.
definitely could look at items, anything bold on that memo is something that's more restrictive than how the county sees it. We do not have design guidelines for buildings. It can be a pole barn, it can be, it does have to meet building code, but in terms of having like a brick facade or anything like that, we do not have those requirements. So that's something New Lenox wanted to see because that's what they require within the village. In terms of the outdoor storage area enclosed by a solid fence to help screen, well, we require a solid fence or they can use landscaping and a solid fence to screen. So we have things that a little bit more flexibility that they can use to use as screening, where it seems like New Lenox is a little bit more specific with a solid fence for screening. And then again, their recommended condition number 4, the proposed gravel surfaces shall be hard surfaces such as concrete or asphalt. The county looks at, gravel as an impervious hard surface. The more you have heavy machines and equipment on it, it does compact. So we don't require uses to really put in concrete parking lots or asphalt parking lots. They could do gravel provided they meet the requirements of stormwater and the zoning requirements. And then if they have to put in an ADA space, they have to meet the state requirements. So that would be paved, but that could be the only requirement in terms of pavement. And then again, you know, the existing tree line to the south, if that provides a natural screening, a lot of times we see applicants and developers just try to maintain the existing tree lines rather than having to do an expenditure of having additional fencing or installing more landscaping to screen from that property line. I did have a conversation with the applicant's attorney this afternoon. It sounds like he's been in talk with the neighbor to the south. They are willing and considering putting a berm along that southern property line where they would still maintain the tree line. They would not touch it, but they would put an additional berm with some landscaping on top to, again, just add a little bit more of a land use buffer between that residential use. It's not required. If they came in and showed no berm, we would still want to see some type of screening, but they wouldn't have to do a land use buffer. But they're considering doing something like that, again, to just kind of be a good neighbor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any concerned citizens or objectors to this case here tonight? There are, okay. We'll hear from you after we hear from the applicant. Mr. Kavanaugh, you were not here earlier, and it was announced, but just to keep you in line with everybody else's announcements, there's only 4 of us here tonight, so you need every vote or else you can move the case to another date. I'm sorry about that. I can't do anything about it. Pardon?
This is special use. All you're doing is making a recommendation. So you can be 2 to 2, 3 to 1, 1 to 3. You don't need,
Okay,
not for a special use.
okay, thank you. I just wanted you to be aware of the situation, sir.
Yes, thank you.
We constantly confuse SUPs and TUPs up here. We'll try to do better in the future.
For the record, my name is Richard Kavanaugh. I'm an attorney with KGG LLC with offices at 111 North Ottawa Street. My client, Lucas Lopez, is here also tonight. And we very much appreciate the work that the staff has done with respect to this report. A couple of things. Number one, the berm that we have agreed to is a 4-foot berm along Cedar, and then as Cedar curves west all the way across the frontage of the property on Bruce Road to the far eastern end of the property. So the entire road perimeter of the property would be bermed. It would be a 4-foot high berm. And my client would be putting evergreen trees on top of the berm, which over time would grow
Yes.
to completely surround the property. Now, I understand that there is a gentleman here who has concerns because, and Mr. Chairman, you mentioned it, he owns the residential property to the south. And I had a call within the last couple of days concerning whether or not we could move the building from where it's planned because of the concerns of the residential property owner. Number one, we don't intend to touch the tree line at all. I think our property might go slightly into the tree line. I don't know how far. We don't have any accurate measurements, but we have no intention of touching the tree line. We would also propose to put a 4 or 6 foot berm across our southern property line, except in a couple of spaces. Number one, at the far west end, would want to leave about 25 or 30 feet there between us and the property to the west of us because of the tree line that exists there. We don't want to be chopping down any trees. That's the first reason. And the second reason is that we think that it would be a problem to maintain any kind of a berm at the far eastern end of the property because of the swale that comes through there. We don't want to put a berm in a swale because all it's going to do is create backup in water. You have water that comes from the north and goes all the way down to Hickory Creek. So we would propose to put that berm outside of the tree line on our property, either a 4 or 6 foot berm with evergreens going across the entire south portion of the property, would be excluding probably the west 50 feet and would be excluding about the east 400 feet because you can see where that swale comes in from the north west and goes south and east. So,
Okay.
but my client is here tonight. We appreciate again, the staff report. Would be happy to answer any questions that any of the members have, obviously, but we think this is a good project. As far as the comments from the Village of New Lenox, I have a couple of Margie mentioned, I think, let me see here. Obviously, we'll comply with all the building codes. We would prefer not to have to put brick on the front of the building. It's an agricultural building. It's an office. It will have area for maintenance and repair, but we think we will have an attractive building, but brick appears to be sort of out of left field. It's not a commercial building. It's an ag building. And with respect to the gravel surfaces replaced with hard surface such as concrete or asphalt, we have no problem asphalting the drives in, okay, or asphalting any of the automobile parking places. But we would much prefer gravel for the storage area in the back because at least it will allow some of the water to seep into the ground. And as you know, and as you can see from the site, this is a relatively wet area because of water. And we would prefer to have as much water seep into the ground as possible. So with those differences, we would ask for your approval for the special use for the project.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions any members may have.
I have no questions. Anyone have questions?
I guess I would just ask one thing. You didn't follow up really. They've asked that the building not be, I guess, so close. And from what I'm reading right here, A1 side and rear setback are both 50 feet. Do you know exactly where they plan on putting the building? How far from that property line?
The building is quite a ways from the property line. I
So it's
can't,
safe to say it's more than 50.
it's well over 50 feet away.
I am reading this right, correct? 50 feet is the side and rear for A1?
Correct. And it looks like from the site plan, 100 feet from the western property line would be the nearest edge of the building. And again, this is just a conceptual plan, but they're showing 100 feet. And then they are showing like 200 feet from the southern property line. So the start of the gravel pavement, the dark gray area, is 100 feet from the southern property line. And then the dark gray on the western property line is right along the 50-foot setback.
Okay.
Okay, now I understand that drawing better. The dark area parking that goes all the way around the building.
Yeah. Have you any other questions?
No, no, thank you.
Would you please take a seat up front, sir?
Yes, sir.
May I hear from the concerned citizens or objectors? Come up to the podium, please. Watch your steps coming down the stairs. Please give your name for the record.
My name is John Fife, and this is my wife, Jen
Okay.
Fife. So we are, first of all, I met with Luke, the potential buyer yesterday. That was the first time we met. And our goal really is to try to be neighborly with each other. But I think, so again, we've never been through something like this before. So I'm not sure if this is already a foregone conclusion to,
There's no such thing as a foregone.
Okay,
It's a public
okay.
They
hearing.
wouldn't be here if it was.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, great. So I guess the first thing I wanted to say is that in the event that we are going to be neighbors, we want to, I think, work together to figure out a solution that works for all of us. So we talked about yesterday about maybe moving the building a little bit further to, is there a way to put that conceptual site plan up? It may be easier to kind of look at that. So I know we're talking about noise, right? And I know that's why we're talking about the berms up, like on Cedar Road, to potentially prevent some noise. Our property, our house is probably, yep, so we're south of that, and we're probably, I'm gonna guess, 150 feet maybe away from that tree line. So Luke had talked about what I think Mr. Kavanaugh had said, constructing a berm there in the backside, which would be helpful. The biggest concern I think that we have is, and I'm not sure if really in the paperwork it kind of stated what type of landscape company that this is, but it's not, I think when we heard about a landscape company, we were thinking about trees, nursery type things, shrubs. The storage bins there are, they're basically bigger areas where you put gravel and you put different building materials. I think Luke has, I think he mentioned to us, he has a few semi-trucks. So that area, he's going to be bringing trucks in from Cedar and keeping those semi-trucks back there in that parking lot. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that he has a front loader or some type of piece of equipment that's going to go and scrape those rocks and whatever the building materials are early in the morning to dump them onto the trucks. So our biggest concern is the noise. That's, the building, I don't think we have any issue with the building at all. But the problem is the parking lot, because right there, if you see those, there are, I think, 3 or 4 bins. What we had talked about yesterday is there a way to relocate those bins further north? So I want you to think about that, the noise that we're going to hear. And Luke and I were kind of talking about it yesterday. I'm like, we have a house here and we both can understand that. And I even said, like, would you want to have a house next to your operation? He said, no. So we don't want to try to stop a project, but it doesn't, for us, it doesn't seem to make good sense given our living circumstance right there.
You're concerned about a noise that's potential, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Potential.
Well, it's not, I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, these aren't like pickup trucks that are coming in loading shrubs or whatever. They're semi trucks that it's going to, early in the morning to get loaded, I think. And again, stop me if I'm misunderstanding it. Within a couple 100 feet of our property line, that are going to be taking materials, lifting them up, putting them into the trucks. I even think if you go even further north, we're probably going to hear that, right? But we would rather have something further away from our home. Is there a way there was like an aerial view that shows our lot? Yeah, there we go. So right there, that's our house that's being constructed right now. So you could see how close it is to that tree line. So, when we bought the property, it was zoned agriculture. We had no and again, we're not experts at this, but we had no thought that we'd be dealing with semi trucks or some type of heavier type of, I don't know what you call it.
Can I ask about the tree line that's there? How much of
Absolutely.
that do you think is on your property versus?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And here's why. Because the original parcel of land was 40 acres. It got subdivided and we bought 20. And we bought that, what, about a year and a half ago, probably? But I just also want to go on record to say that Luke has been really good. This is not a personal thing with Luke. He's reached out to us. Again, we did not know about even this. When we were, the mailing was sent certified, it was sent to the construction site. So we never received a certified letter.
Well, I could make comment on your circumstance or potential circumstance.
Mhm.
And if we have a truck stop and we put up the berms and the trees or bushes to stop the noise from residential areas, that's all that's required by the county normally to do that. And most of the people, I presume, because they stay in the homes, they must think that it is stopping the noise, or mostly stopping the noise. So,
What about the load
Just an
though? And
observation.
the rock, you know,
So
again, this is,
I don't
we're
think-
due
I
to
don't
all
think
of
you're
us.
pleading your case the best, because your worst thing is going to be every morning, doesn't matter whether it's a dump truck or a six-wheeler. If they're complying with certain safety laws, you're gonna start hearing beep, and then clunk, and then beep, which could be annoying as heck in the summer if you're one of them people that likes to sleep late with your windows open.
Can
But I think the only thing we can really do that would help you with noise is ask for plantings on a berm. The idea of a berm is it'll help deflect the sound up. But in the winter, sound carries much better. I can hear the conductors at a metro station a mile from my house yelling directions to one another in the winter. So you need some trees to try to also knock it down. That's why I asked where you think most of the trees are. The applicant only says it's not their intent to remove any of the trees. But obviously, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if they want to expand their parking lot and trees are on their property, they're well within their way to do it. Unless we condition something on here that says they must have the berm and they must have the trees. Otherwise, all the conceptual drawings, they could, we'll just hypothetically say here, get approval. The man passed away of a massive heart attack, sell the property, the next person come in and put that building 50 feet from your house. Or the building, because that's what the code word says. And the parking lot 50 feet, so if we don't attach something now, which is really your only chance,
Yeah.
you
condition.
don't get it.
What, let me ask, just curious, so like, how do I say? Why would it even, like, why are we here to even, like, if anybody, whether it was Luke or anybody else could have the setup the way it's contemplated, what is really the variance for? Like, what's, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was just trying to understand. What's really the variance here if it doesn't matter?
Well, they're not a variance. They're asking for a special use permit.
Yeah, what
The
is,
county ordinance, which is required by state statute, states that landscape things must be in agriculture and require a special use permit. And that gives the general public the chance to come and give their approval or rebuttal to such a project. So it's technically the legislative process that they're going through. Am I saying this right, Mr. Kavanaugh? And we hear the arguments both ways and rule. But in this case, we are not the final step. We are a recommending body because this will proceed to the county board.
okay,
A committee will hear it and then the county board itself.
okay.
So in
Which-
other cases you heard variances, they
Yeah.
stopped.
Which
So
we,
if they wanted to put it closer to you, like say 30 feet,
Yeah.
they could be requesting a variance to be 30 feet from the lot line. And you would be well within your rights.
I see.
And you would bend our ears pretty good because, now they're asking for something a little extra special.
Yeah.
But here they're just asking for what's required of the county code to get approval for a special use permit.
and they are offering to berm and add to the berm with conifers of some type that will block sound. Once they grow together, and it does take a couple of years, but once they grow together, it's a sound wall.
I'm one of them people that goes down Route 30, goes down I-55 and look at Sound Walls and I say, how hideous. We have all these trees and nurseries. Why aren't we putting huge arborvitae, intense plantings for 50 to 100 feet rather than these sound walls? Which now actually shocked me. I go by some of them 10 to 15 years old.
Mhm.
They're falling over, they're rotting away.
The
I'm
walls
like,
are.
why don't we have something natural?
Well, I said a botanical sound wall is what I was talking
mean-
about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I think the loading is gonna be a bigger problem too, but I don't know if the berms would be able to stop the rocks from falling into the truck.
That's common, that's what they commonly use in the county, and it seems to work around the county, so that's all I can tell you, sir.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay.
So I guess my question to you then, would you like us, the only condition that I think I myself would want to put on here is that they they put plantings as well as a berm against your property. And they make a very legitimate argument. They don't want it in the corner. I think water drains that way.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
And they don't want it up by the road. So technically, the only place they've mentioned now putting a berm is pretty much just north of your house, going a little bit east and west. So if.
Yeah, and Luke had said that he would do that yesterday when we discussed. I'm just telling you that's what, so I don't, yes, we would want that.
And I painted a pretty bizarre scenario there, but you can say anything you want here, but if it's not conditioned.
No, we would, that condition.
Except for the fact that Mr. Kavanaugh also stated that under oath, here sitting, everybody here is under oath, so.
Right.
Yes,
You want to hear?
What I was suggesting is not the west 50 feet because of the tree line there,
Yep.
and not the east 500 feet. And this is about 1,200, I think it's 1,200 feet on the south property line. The east 500 gets us to the swale. And then the west 50 feet is the existing tree line between our property and the property, I think, of the Forest Preserve.
yes.
West going up that way, you're saying?
You see where you see where they're running the dots on the,
So technically. when you
Going up
come-
north, going north.
When you come in your driveway, you're heading due west almost, and then you hard right to go north, you'll be looking at the berm and the planting. Because that looks like it would be starting about 50 or 100 feet to the right.
My driveway, you're saying?
Yes.
My driveway's further south though, yeah.
Right, but I'm looking at your driveway. It comes in, it does.
Oh, yeah,
there's
it's
three
certain-
loop-de-loops and a ties
Exactly,
knot.
okay, yep.
So when you turn to go north.
Yep.
You would be looking at the berm. So really, at no point would you be able to even see except what's over the tree and the berm, or the trees and the berms. Because when you first turn in, you're looking due west at your property. Yeah, because I'm looking at the Google Earth image. It
Oh,
doesn't have
okay.
your house, where
Yeah.
theirs is more recent and had the house, but
Yeah.
yes. And you have a nice circular right in front of your house, which fire departments love that. They hate long driveways that they have to back out. of.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're fine with having talked to them and, it does state that their hours of operation, I guess I could ask staff this 6 AM to, I think, 5 PM. I don't know if there is a county ordinance as to what hours they're allowed to open, but yeah, I mean, most blue collar men like to show up at 6:30. They have their coffee, they get their trucks going by
Yeah.
7 because they
Yeah.
want to be home early. They don't want to be out at 5 o'clock.
Right.
They want to start early and get home early.
Mhm.
So.
have you anything more to add, sir?
No, I just was curious as to, about the conditions, how
Okay.
do we get, you guys would, I think, take care
I
of.
think your wife may want to add something.
Oh, God.
Did you want, yes, please, come to the podium. And even though he introduced you, give your name again, please.
I'm Jennifer Fife,
Thank you.
wife of John, the neighbor of
Yeah.
potential Luke. Same, a lot of the same concerns, obviously. Mostly for me is that we bought our property knowing that it was A1 agricultural. And we knew that that corner was the same as well. We weren't under the assumption that things could just change by going to court and become commercial.
it's still agricultural. That's it may be a commercial venture, but it's still agriculturally zoned.
Yes, running a business
Yeah.
and not just like your typical landscaping, cutting grass, with having semis coming off a very busy road of Cedar, which they mentioned how busy the traffic is on Cedar and Bruce day and night. The speed on that road, so like the safety as well, is my concern. I- Listening, obviously the sound, the semis, smelling diesel throughout the day. If we were under the assumption that some of that whole area would end up being preserved, that the preserve would be interested in like connecting that whole area there, that the area of Homer, Lockport and all of that wanted to keep it more natural, preserve and forest. So that was a lot of the assumption we were under when we bought that property, which we're keeping it A1 and we do some farming on there as well. So this is all, like my husband said, all new to us and different. And again, living next to that and listening to it, hearing it, smelling diesel, along with all the extra traffic with the entrance being on Bruce. It's a busy road. So that's a concern too, of it backing up and, people are flying down that road doing about 60. I see a lot of accidents there too, from Bruce and Cedar. So a little bit of everything under my concern of being a mom, having 3 kids there as well, and living next to a type of business.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much for your testimony. Mr. Kavanaugh, would you care to rebut or?
I can certainly understand the concerns. I know that my client, Mr. Lobos, who is sitting up there, has been operating a business for a long time in Homer Glen in a residential area. And I'm not aware of any mistakes. He just needs any issues for when he's been operating there. The fact of the matter is he needs more room because his business has expanded, and this is a perfect site for it. And I think with the berming, I think we alleviate most, probably not all, but most of the issues.
If I may, Mr. Kavanaugh, ask your client one question, which actually breaks all the rules of the
Absolutely.
lawyer, but I'm here to find out the truth. I think I know the answer. I'm just curious, though, they're very concerned about semis. And I'm thinking what I've seen in most landscape businesses, they're not the primary truck. They're probably the ancillary truck, probably to haul bigger loads in that all the smaller trucks haul out. Are semis very vital to your operation, or are they just a very small part of it? And then you have a lot of smaller trucks with trailers that so are you one of these outfits that do a little bit of lawn mowing, but you do a lot of installation of patios and maybe even putting in sod and finishing yards after a house has been built in a subdivision, or? Pavers, retaining walls. So that would, yeah, some of these retaining walls require a fair amount of material. Okay, so. Yeah, so what I was kind of expecting in most landscape. Well, I guess entitled to ask the commission to add a condition. I'm gonna throw away all the new Lennox ones, but ask that the roughly 700 feet of berm that is on the south side be planted in trees as well as be the berm. I think that's a,
No, I think we would prefer to put evergreens on top.
I think that's the best way to prevent sound from coming
Yeah.
through.
Absolutely.
Also break line of sight.
Yeah.
If these berms that get 4 big blocks high, that's gonna be almost 10 foot tall, so.
Yeah, well, we have no interest in taking down any of the trees that are on the south side to begin with. So this would be inside the trees
Additional,
toward our, more on our property.
yes. Which you see in lots of high-end developments where they have, the berms are, by the time you're all done, the berm are 4 or 5 feet high with the trees on top.
Correct.
And then deciduous trees behind them. So you end up with a very nice looking setup besides the fact that it's sounding, it helps the sound.
We'd like it to look very nice, yes.
New Mulch has done a pretty good job to make the front of their operation look very nice from Cedar Road.
Other than the brick front on the building, Mr. Kavanaugh, did you have any other objections to New Lennox's 5?
We'd prefer that the big parking lot in the back be gravel as opposed to asphalt,
Yes,
but would asphalt the rest of the parking areas. And the brick front, we would prefer not to have to do that.
yes, I got that. You want as much drainage as you can for the property.
You mentioned what concrete does to skid steer tires and rubber tracks.
Yes. I'm sorry, sir. You got one shot. But we're going to go ahead and ask for a motion on case ZC 25 121
So Mr. Chairman,
/S, wait a second, /S 25 048. And that motion can be conditioned by the board now if that is the case.
Mr. Chairman, for the S 25 048, I'm gonna ask for the addition of a third condition that a minimum 650 feet berm with plantings be installed on the south property line, which I guess that gives you the latitude to put it where you want it, but as you stated, and logic kind of says, you're not gonna put it all the way to the east, all the way to the west, you're gonna put it 50 to 100 feet starting. And this, I think, is going to block just about
So this will be a third condition to
third
the,
condition.
okay.
Did you catch that?
Restate
Trying to
it,
make it real brief.
restate it, would you please?
That a minimum 650 foot berm with plantings be on the south property line.
Okay.
I think that's clear and brief. And then if it would, oh, we got to vote on that first.
We have to vote on the conditioning first.
Need a second on that?
Yes.
Or dies. If you guys like the idea.
Voting to add a condition.
Yeah, you didn't, you just said planted, you didn't say planted with evergreens?
Teams
Plantings. I'm
installed on south.
I'm favorable to arborvitae's, but they almost always use evergreens. I don't know. why.
Yeah, evergreens.
I'm giving them the option. They can- Shut up, John.
Are we ready to take a vote?
We are ready to take a vote now. I have a roll call, please, on that condition.
John, on condition number 3, you had
Yes.
Roger Bettenhausen.
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Houston.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, for ZC 25-121, special use permit 25-048, approval of special use permit for a landscape business with two conditions from staff and one
Three
added by us.
Yeah, three conditions, just
Second.
a motion and a second. May I have a roll call?
Ron Keithner,
Yes.
Bettenhausen,
Yes.
Everett,
Yes.
and Chairman Husted.
Yes. Our next meeting is going to be January 20th. Do we have any announcements from staff at all?
Thank you. for
Yes.
Stating January 20th. That's our agenda. We have
Yes.
Yes, I have an announcement. We have a new planner with us. His name is Alec Van Patten, and
Alec
tonight's his
Van
first
Patten.
night.
Okay, that's a famous name, Van Patten. If you're in the acting business, I don't know about being a planner, but congratulations, and we're happy to have you with us. And did we lose Jesus Persano? Is that the,
No, Jesus is just taking some personal time. So
okay, okay,
You lost Ashland.
okay.
A couple months. And Jesus would have pronounced Jorge Riaz better than you did.
All right, gentlemen. And I will ask for a motion for adjournment. Move in second.
I'll
All
second
right.
both their motions.
Move in second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all, staff, for
Let me give you the
wonderful
attendance.